Hello, soul friends. This is Mary, and welcome back to my channel. Today's pick a card reading is going to be all about what do you not want to do, and how are you going to get through it anyway? So something that you have to do that's coming up that you have to go through. You don't want to do it, but you have to anyway. So how are you going to get through it? That is what we're going to focus on today. We are going to be using, and only using, the Happy Tarot. This is one of my favorite decks ever. I actually have a little silk bag for it as well that I never use. It's just folded up in a drawer because I'm an idiot. But I'm pretty sure you can find this anywhere, but I mean, surely Googling this will help you find it. As you know, I've gotten very lazy about posting things in the description box. I just don't have the time, man. I just now put in the intro, names of decks are in the intro. So then you have to watch me do the intro. Remember, no matter your individual beliefs, tarot or oracle reading is, your spirit guides coming forward to give you advice, or just simply your subconscious mind helping you answer life's ponders. No matter how you look at it, it is healthy and you are in the right place. Today, I have a squeaky voice. I'm going to let you choose between your cards here. This will be the main card in your energy, and then we'll use the rest of the deck for your interpretations. So yes, those cards will be missing out of the deck for the other participants as well. And that's just how we're going to do it and see how it works. So yes, you will not have that one, those three cards in your deck when I'm doing some clarification. So that card will just be yours. Yes, indeed. All right, pause if you need. We will see you in your individual readings. Bye-bye-bye-bye. Hello, group one. So if you picked the purple amethyst rock thing, crystal, whatever. Here is your overall energy. This is going to represent the thing you do not want to do. So even if it's a positive card, we are going to look at it as, a lack energy in that area perhaps, or you'll see. You'll see how it works. Okay. So you got the strength card. I'm like getting nice and close so you can see all your little details here. All right. Okay. There's a couple of things coming through automatically that have to do with health. Some of you have a health thing that you have to do that you're uncomfortable doing because it is not something you want to do. Maybe it's sort of invasive. I'm not going to speculate on what's going on specifically in each person's body. We'll go ahead and keep that private for you. So if you know, you know. Sorry. Okay. And then some of you are feeling that same kind of, I don't want to deal with this health issue with a pet. Something that you don't want to deal with a pet. And I'll just leave it at that. You got to take your pet to the vet for something. All right. What else is coming through here? Okay, something's coming through for, I'm not sure which ones, but your guides are here saying that this positive card that came out, even though it's surrounding a thing that you don't want to do, right? Health for you or somebody you care about, is they're saying that for a lot of you, the news is good. That it's a thing that sucks, but you will get through it. Kind of situation. So that's encouraging. Okay. I feel for you, group ones. I totally understand how that feels. I'm trying to see if there's something else, like another storyline here. I'm just not feeling it. So let's go ahead and get you some clarification cards. So if you're not dealing with a health situation of some sort that involves you and your pet, or just you, this is probably not the pile for you. We're going to see what you need to do to get through this now. Ugh. Oh, yay. Look at that. The sun. Good, 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 good. The sun is very good news. It means that all the negativity in this spread is going to be turned positive. So remember me initially saying that your guides had spoken up very, very strongly when we were looking at your first card. That's coming through even stronger with this card now as well. Very, very happy outcomes. It's going to be okay. You're going to be happy and feel refreshed once it's over. And yes, it's not like it's going to be easy. I totally get it. I totally get it. You know, some people have like a really hard time. They would rather get their tooth drilled than get like their teeth cleaned, you know, stuff like that. Just because of like the sensations can be so different for each individual person. I feel like there's like, you know, little health things like that in here and to bigger things. You know, one of the things that's the worst thing that I don't like to do is getting my blood drawn. I absolutely could deal with them amputating something better like than getting my blood drawn. And I have like one of those like you know, baffling diseases where they have to take your blood like every 3 months when you're seeing somebody. It's like, why God, you know? And it's like, it's not that big of a procedure. They do it all the time, but it's every single time is like the worst thing that you could be doing to me medically. It's, you know, I know people that are like that about finger pokes when they poke your finger for that little drop of blood they need. And that's like worse than getting like your teeth drilled. I totally get it. Anyway, that came through for somebody that maybe you're kind of like giving yourself a hard time for this being hard. Like you were kind of cheesy laughing, like, I know it's going to be okay, but you know, how am I still going to get through it emotionally? I totally get it. We will focus on that too. Okay, so for some of you, communication. I'm also seeing with this Knight of Swords kind of rushing into an action of like taking in some, oh, what do I want to say? Some kind of research or communication with you know, the people that are going to do what they're going to have to do to you that feels so, or what they're going to do to your pet and what feels so invasive to you. Like, do I get to be there with them the whole time? Calling them ahead and just saying, hey, I know you guys are super busy, you know, but I've never done this before. Even if you have, who cares, you know, or I just need, you know, I know I've done this before, but I just have some additional questions that I'd like to ask. And they'll have a nurse call you when they have time and they'll go through whatever you need with them. Okay. So just plan ahead there and have like a communication set up, either with, you know, the people that are going to be working on you, the person that's going to be working on your pet. That's your right to do, is have that communication, have that little talk. Like I know people that will watch like videos on what to expect. Sort of like, you know, what to expect here, right? You watch this video because you want to see what to expect. I know some people that'll go so far as to watch an entire like surgical procedure that they do to somebody so that they know what's going to be done to them. And that makes them feel better. I cannot do that. And see how it's different for everyone, right? And so having that little, whatever that communication is in place, maybe it's communication with like your God or your spirit guides of like, help me get through this, help me find my way to this message that was so positive, help me think of only the positive outcomes of what's going to happen. Like instead of, oh, what's going to go wrong, think of, oh, I can't wait for this procedure to make me feel better in some way, right? I can't wait for this, you know, stressful portion of my life to be over with. I can't wait to put this behind us, right? Notice too that they're both on little horsies. I feel like this is very, you know, pet oriented, positive as well. for your pet. Okay, we also, yes, the Knight of Cups. And that's being like emotionally getting what you need. Good news being brought to you, like having a gift being brought to you, or good news, or like a good proposal, like, so very positive energy of this turning out well, of how you're going to get through it. Your guides are saying to take little actions. So taking little actions with communication with who you're going to be dealing with, because that's your right to do. And you can do that in any medium or shape or form that's feeling good to you. Some of you, that's just, you came here to see this and now you're seeing it, and it's going to make you feel better because your guides are right here and you can feel their presence, that kind of feeling. Or subconsciously, you're like, okay, you're right. I can deal with this fear. I'm going to make it through this. It's just something that, is an upsetting thing. I'm not discounting that for some, like I said, very, very routine situations can really make me be like a scared little kid again. It's very sad to watch. Thankfully, it's people who legally can't say anything about it. Okay, so let's go ahead. With the Knight of Cups, something that your guides are saying with this thing that you have to do, if you're like taking your pet to the vet, or if you are taking yourself in for something, maybe do something very emotionally fulfilling that is, of course, within your health guidelines. Obviously, if you have to do surgery the next day, don't eat like a 6-course meal. Follow your doctor's instructions, etc. Don't just be like, oh, Miriam says it's going to be okay, so I'm just not going to go to the doctor now. No. I think we all know that. Okay, so anyway, but do something for yourselves that feels like emotionally fulfilling. Like if it's some, an activity that's very relaxing and fun for your pet, you do that for them, or something that's relaxing and emotionally fun for you, you do that. I like to watch nostalgic film, of course, because that's how I got through the rough times before, or listening to an Audible book that is nostalgic for me. I have some kid books, I swear I'm just going to record me reading it to myself, and that'll probably sound terrible, but I would like to fall asleep to those without having to read them. Anyway, because it's just more relaxing to listen and drift out that way. And it's something I've already listened to or read a million times. Anyway, something like that. Some sort of relaxing activity for the both of you, for you and your pet. Some of you might just be having some health things and you worry about your pet when you have health things because maybe your pet gets worried for you, is also coming through for some. But I love the overwhelming message of your guides saying it's okay. Just take action towards making it feel better for yourself. Like if you're scared of flying, don't think, oh, I'm scared of the plane crashing. Think, I'm excited to fly. I'm excited to get from like my bed to my destination in like less than a couple of hours in some cases, right? Or whatever. Thank goodness we're not going on ship for 3 months. I don't know. Whatever makes you feel better. Okay, let's go ahead and go along. Yeah, the Queen of Wands is all about being brave, being inspired, being okay, not needing anyone but herself. She's also an action-oriented gal. This is a lucky time. Yeah, I'm not seeing this being a time of great chaos for you, my friends. Thank goodness. Okay. At least not for the energy that's coming through for the ones that are tuning in and are supposed to be here. Just remember, I'm no doctor. You must go seek someone. I'm just one of these guys. We did, a lot of us didn't go to medical school. But your guides are showing that like you have all the tools you have to make it through this situation okay. So like I don't feel like this is like something that's like a life or death situation for you. It just feels very emotionally taxing to you, like even taxing to your spirit because you've had to do it so many times. Like I said, there's some people that I feel like maybe it was just like you'd rather be shot in the mouth and drilled rather than have your teeth cleaned. You know, I totally get it. If there's any way you can get yourself to listen to like really hard music while that helps take the sensation off a little bit. And then if they offer gas, I say go for it. If you can afford it or if your insurance covers it, check that out if they do. Because if you're lucky enough to have dental insurance, like I don't have it right now, but you know how that goes. Okay. Yeah, your guys are overwhelmingly showing this like nurturing queen, mothering energy as well. Some of you might have a very nurturing mom that you want to talk to, and that's okay at any age. The Page of Pentacles. Yeah, reaching out again for that information and just not being... It's okay to like admit that you don't know everything about what to feel about this, so like you could even... I know this sounds crazy and a lot of people wouldn't think to do this, but just talking to the place that set up this procedure you have to do and say, hey, this obviously wouldn't work for the pet people, but, calling and finding out what kind of coverage you have to talk to somebody and say, hey, I want to talk to somebody about my feelings I'm having about my pet, right? Or feelings you have about health stuff with yourself. I go to a counselor regularly because when you have a baffling illness, you have to go, well, you don't have to, but it helps to talk to somebody about it that's very non-judgmental of how you're choosing to get through it or how you have to get through it, and I don't feel like that situation is as serious, but I'm just trying to show you that I can connect to where you feel that you just don't want to go do this again. If somebody could give me a little certificate that says she's had her blood drawn enough and she never has to do it again, we will find another way. I would be like, yay, the happiest kid in town, and so I totally get it. But your guides are showing that this is overwhelmingly going to end up positive. Gathering the information is what's going to make it go more smoothly and help you get through it. Reaching out to a very loving and nurturing feminine presence in your life. Doesn't have to be a woman, but somebody who's nurturing to you, you'll know who I'm talking about if that pertains to you, is somebody to reach out to. Gathering information for yourself, doing something emotionally soothing for you or your pet, your critter, as I call them. A little squirrel or a little owl. Yeah, I get it. We need our pets to be okay, don't we, guys? I totally get it. I feel like in this case it's going to be. So take heart, do the things that your guides suggest, of course. Talk to your medical professionals. All right. And we'll see you next time. If this was helpful, tell me how in the comment section. Give me topic ideas there as well. If you'd like to book a private reading, there are ways to do so in the description box. Thank you, my friends. We shall see you in the next one. Take care. Bye. Hello, group 2. So if you picked Mustard Heart, good old Mustard Heart is back in rotation. That's what happens when you just like have your own little stash of rocks. You really don't buy them that often because you don't want to drown in rocks, right? Because you will. All right, let's see what your overall, some of you might not like clutter around your house. That's coming through. Okay. 5 of Cups, what you don't want to do. Interesting. Okay. So 5 of Cups is about looking at what's gone and not realizing what you have left. Okay. Not that what was lost isn't painful, but that it's a reminder that there are still things that we have and that, life is about things coming in and going out, and it's just part of life, etc. So what I'm getting for some, and stick around because a lot of times more than one storyline comes through. There's this feeling that maybe you've lost someone, lost, like somebody passed away, like a pet, a person, you know, friend, whoever, you know, family. That type of energy is coming through, or just somebody that you really cared about. And what I feel with this card is that what you don't want to do is focus in on the thing that's been lost. So I feel like you're actually, you know, doing what the card suggests is like, no, I'm focusing on the things that I still have. I'm focusing on what's important. And you guys like, yes, but what you don't want to do, what you're like avoiding, like is, you know, what you don't want to have to go through is possibly having to get into this stance and have that moment of loss, if that makes sense. I know you don't want to. I totally get it. I'm the same way. There's certain things I just don't want to think about, and I'm like, whatever, I can push this away until I die too. I'm totally like, I get it. We've all been there in some form or shape. I truly believe we all go through the same types of emotional gambit. It's just different situations, right? And different types, different ages where we go through it, etc. And I don't even necessarily think it could be the loss of like a career. I'm feeling that empathy pull. So that's definitely there for somebody. Like, I feel like somebody might even be like close to retiring in some big way. And you're like, this is a good thing. I'm lucky to get to do this. A lot of people don't get to do this. I'm lucky I even have these options, right? Some people just have to keep doing what I just did for the last however many years until they pass away because they don't have any other options, right? Or until they just get so sick they can't anymore. I totally get it. But at the same time, your guides are asking that you acknowledge the thing that you really don't want to go through is just kind of having that good cry of like, it's sad that it's over. It doesn't have to be super sad cry, but just you know, watch a slideshow of all your little pictures to some sappy music and just have a good hearty cry off, right? Call it timed crying, right? Where, I mean, that's not exactly timed crying, because timed crying, you actually time it, right? I don't like to time things per se. And so what I would do is I would just like cry in the shower for my timed crying that I had to do once, right? And I had until the water got cold or until I was done crying, right? And then I would get out of the shower. And nobody in the house was the wiser, right? Nobody out in the world knew that, you know, every day for a while and then once a week and then blah, blah, blah down the road, like that I was sobbing my little heart out and having a little sobby slide down my shower. You know, and except you guys, because I told you, gosh dang it. Having a place where you can just kind of work through that emotion is a good thing to do. Especially on the things that they feel like almost, oh, it's silly to cry over that, right? Like, I feel like I don't have the right to cry over that. Like, it seems too trivial maybe, or I'm lucky. I shouldn't cry over something that's changing in a big way because it's changing in a good way, but you still have to like kind of cry over what's been left behind. That kind of thing. So it could be like that also, that idea of like a kid leaving for college or getting married or moving to a state far, far away or something like that, right? It's okay. I know. Big hug. I know. Like, if you're like, whoa, why is she hugging me? You might be in the wrong group. Like, like I feel like a lot of you are like, I'm focusing on what's good, but it's like you guys are saying, yeah, but go ahead and take a moment for yourself, whether that's one big timed cry or, a weekly deal because, it's like you lost a person, right? It all depends on your individual situations because there is a broad range that can come through here eventually and watch these and like all those different guides come through. And so, whether or not that person finds this in some way to watch it, it is, another half of the journey or the battle. The guides coming through or just trying to give the message out. So, just put it where it applies. Your guides have a lot of love for you, and they're showing that in this reading. Like, they're really nudging you towards this, hey, it's okay to cry, kind of energy. And some of you are like, yeah, I don't want to. I totally get it. I'm cringing too, so that must be why. Let's go ahead and look at what we got here. We have the Queen of Wands. Right? I think this is the Queen of Wands and this is the Queen of Swords. And that means I said the wrong queen in my last... I always screw it up when like they have like a cotton candy thing is wands and a candy cane is swords. I always screw it up. Like give them actual things that are tarot traditional or I will mess it up on the fly. But what's funny is I kind of took the thing that those two have in common anyway. So, oh well. It's just a reading, right, guys? Okay. Ay, ay. You have both of them. Wands and swords. We'll get to that. Oh, as well as the Chariot. And the Page of Swords. All right. I'm going to talk about these guys first, and then we'll move along and get more. So what I'm getting with these queens here, this queenly energy, is that your guys are going to essentially keep saying the same thing over and over again to an extent. They're saying to take that action towards feeling that emotion. One thing that you can do, and this is something I get it. Sometimes it's really hard to like get your emotions to flow. And you're like, hey, I just don't feel like crying. I'm going to sit there and lock myself in the shower until I cry, Miriam. It's not going to happen. I get it. So one thing that I do when I'm in that mode, because I do get in that mode as well, is I will make myself watch one of the saddest movies I've ever seen in my life and make myself cry that way. There's a certain distance that it provides that helps me feel a little more comfortable with the fact that I'm going to cry about this now. And even though I'm not thinking about the situation necessarily while I'm watching the show and crying over that, it still seems to get some of it out that needs to come out. I feel like some of you are like, I ain't crying. It ain't happening. Your guides are showing whatever action you take towards processing through these emotions. Then if you're not willing to cry, I totally respect your issues. I can't forgive. Okay. And I think people, a lot of times will be like, deal with your issues, man. And it's like, well, my brother, it would not be an issue if I could just stop, right? Or if I could just do, or if I could just whatever. So anyway, that's so funny. I don't know why that makes me laugh. I think maybe one of you guys' guides has like a very wry sense of humor about like the painful things in life and just being, the fact that it's so uncomfortable already to feel the emotions. Like now we have to talk about them too. I get it. But it's coming up for a reason if you're here for a reason, right? So, yeah, it's some kind of a loss or change that you've experienced. And so your guys are just showing however you move through best. Like some people, they might not cry a bunch about like a person they've lost, but like I was just watching a program where, they lost a loved one, and so they ended up running a marathon that person was going to run in honor of that person. I would imagine that during that run, you would have that person on, if I ran, I do not, but if you're a runner, I would think during that marathon running, you would confront some emotional stuff. So maybe that's how you deal with it, right? Going forward in some way. I always really liked group support meetings, especially ones for grief, because it just helps to touch base with other people. We're like, yeah, my whole world is at a standstill as well too, right? Or my whole life as I knew it is over now too. If this isn't about like a death per se, then if it's like the end of like a whole career, like there might be some, I don't know, like it's not like I live in an area where there's a lot of support, but there were a few people that just came into my, into my pathway, and some of the interactions were very short, but they were just some older women that were retiring, and some things had not gone the way they would have liked them to. And they were just, even if they did, they were still just sad that they were kind of going through that change. And so I was able to show my vulnerability to them because they were like motherly types, right? When I left my career. So it's like I'm just kind of trying to give you some examples of ways that you can kind of emotionally still deal with it without doing like timed crying. Okay. Your guides are showing you're going to be victorious getting through this, like actually working through this in some way. The fact that you have made it here and are talking with me or your guides through me are pretty big signs that you're trying to puzzle your way through it in some kind of respect. It's like gnawing away at the back of your mind, even though you're focusing on what you still have. There's this like, feeling. And that can be something that can stretch out for years, especially if you're leaving behind something that was there for years. Yes. But your guides show you pulling it together. Like notice how in this particular case, the lions are just like resting. Their little paws are turned in. It's like they just got done like having a really great run and they succeeded in what they were doing. Now they're just sniffing the breeze, having a good old time. And so are you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's one of those days. Oh my gosh. I know. Yeah, I sound like a kid whose voice is changing, who's not female. You know what I'm saying? That's what I sound like right now. I know. I apologize. The Page of Swords is also about kind of embracing what's coming in that's new to you, because something has come to an end. Stepping into what is new and making that portion of your life relevant in some way is also a good way to move forward. They call it, I love that the kids come up with these little terms that make such wonderful sense to everyone. Is that like lead character energy or whatever they call it? Main character energy, where you kind of go through life like you're the main character, and if something crazy happens, it's not because, you're just going to wink out and not be the main character anymore. Does that make sense? You're going to make the next portion of what comes next relevant. My goodness. It is the middle of the afternoon. And like, if you've heard the wind, like there's just been a lot of sun blockage going on right now. We're just doomed to have bad lighting forever on this channel. I'm just so sorry. I need to do a podcast where like you just, you don't have to look at anything with good lighting. Of course, then you might have to look at podcasts. I'll show the people now. So I guess not. You would still need good lighting. Dang it. Okay, moving on. These two other cards want to come out for you. Oh, they're being tricky though. Come here, sucker. Making me fight you. Okay. Okay, yeah, Nine of Swords, some anxiety or sleepless nights if you're like, I'm not anxious, but I'm just not sleeping, right? Six of Wands, you might be getting a lot of praise for how well you've handled something. And so you feel like maybe getting emotional in front of everyone would be weird because you're like, no, everybody's happy for me, right? And that again comes along with that, like, no, I'm very lucky to be where I am energy from some of you. Is that feeling of, no, people are celebrating me right now. I can't like cry and make it all sad about me right now. You know what I'm saying? And I get it. There might be certain instances where you can't in like certain circles. That it's like totally not acceptable. I totally feel that. Reach out to somebody else that can be available, somebody that's not directly involved, like a counselor, a life coach, personal readings, even if it's not with me, someone else or whatever. It can be good to have a personalized one. I'm one of those types that very rarely will go and get a personal reading for myself. Because I'm like, well, I should just read my own cards, but a lot of times you can't see what you need to see because you're, reading your own cards. I don't know. It would be beneficial. Like I said, I go to a counselor a lot, that kind of deal. So like finding somebody that you can have those conversations with to emotionally work through things, finding some type of a medium. I was talking about like running, while you're thinking about that person, going on some kind of a hike to memorialize that person in some way, if it's like a passing away, or memorializing a milestone in your life by like trekking through, I don't know, like maybe the job that you're leaving was very far away and you drove to it back in the day. You pulled a real Claire Fisher from 6 Feet Under and drove from like LA to New York City and started your life anew there. It's just a wild example, y'all. And you got there and now you're leaving that profession, that whole like time that you spent there or whatever, right? And a way to commemorate that, you decide, well, I'm going to take that same drive back in the opposite direction, or I'm going to do that same drive again to rediscover or to just let it go, or I don't know. Am I making good examples? Because I'm going to move on. I'm like, I feel like you probably get the gist. And like, I just do the examples that your guides put in my head because I feel like that's how this whole thing works for me. But, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, but some of you are going to get creative, I guess is what I'm saying, about how you go through this saying goodbye process. Whatever you're saying goodbye to. There we go. Let's go ahead and move along. Moving along. What else are they going to do to get through this? Yeah, your guys are saying you need to get some sleep, some of you. So, like, if you're having sleepless nights and you're like, I'm fine, I'm not sad about it, like, you might need to cry to get through it. Watch that movie that has you cry or whatever it is you need to do. Whatever it needs, asking a doctor for something to help you sleep. Sometimes you just have to. I had to get something to help me once, a couple of times. I get it. Once for a migraine and once for, not being able to sleep or calm myself in certain situations. And so some of you are going to have to go that, like, more like, I have to take some time off work. I have to do something. I have to do something to make myself sleep. Don't do anything crazy now. See a specialist or whatever. But yeah, there needs to be some sleep coming in for you guys, which you guys are saying you will accomplish if you just go at it, in a healthy way, get some information to get some sleep. The rest of you, if you're having a hard time sleeping because you've been so sad, your guides are showing that you're going to start to have some good sleep once you go through those emotions that maybe you're not wanting to go through at this time. Even if you're happy as heck that you won the lottery and you're never going to work again, there might be like a lot of things about your job that gave you a lot of purpose, and now you're sad you're leaving it. You know, those type of, I don't know. Enough, Miriam. They get the gist. I think you get the gist. I hope you do. Yeah, new inspiration is coming in. New communication can form to help you. New communication could be reaching out to a different source for emotional support than you normally do. There's nothing wrong with calling a professional, guys. They know how to deal with us better than we know how to deal with ourselves sometimes. Oh my. And yes, the star, finding balance again. I'll put that right over that little crying guy there. Finding balance, finding healing. The star's all about healing. Finding your little, like, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I'm trying to think of. Somewhere over the rainbow to start playing in my head. That might be specific to somebody. Okay. Yeah, this is like going right along with that Ace of Swords. This new energy, new inspirations will come in, this new chapter. Remember, your guides were saying earlier to make every stage of your life relevant in some way. Even if what you identified was such a big part of yourself is now gone, you know, you can still move forward. I believe that's justice. No, I think. I'll double check. Yep, I was right. It was justice. I got thrown because I didn't see scales, but there are scales. Oh, thank God. They're right there. Yes, indeed. Okay. I keep hearing random, right now it's clearly the wind, but I keep hearing random, like, whistling noises that's been creeping me out because of the stuff that I listen to on YouTube. I listen to a lot of SW stuff. Some of you might listen to that and get spooked out. Maybe some of you watched something recently that made you feel creeped out in like a younger little kid kind of way. It's just a little message that flew in, very specific for some. Okay, but just more confirmation that your guides are speaking to you if that pertains to you. If not, just leave it as it is. I'm seeing also like some big sister energy. Some kind of good, like, it doesn't have to be a big sister per se or a female even, but just somebody that gives you that camaraderie. You can talk to them about anything kind of vibe is coming through. So if you do find a professional, they might be able to just kind of take on that persona in their career. If you're lucky enough to find somebody that can do their job and still be professional and be able to attain that kind of bond with their patient is pretty incredible if you can find them. And they do exist. So anyhow, a lot of it's just finding that perfect match, you know, of your personality blended with theirs. But some of you might have a friend or a person that, you know, that even just a really short conversation with them really sets you straight. Some of you, if you go to like a marathon in the honor of that person, or a marathon in honor of what you used to do, or whatever, like that, you'll end up meeting somebody there that, you know, you wouldn't have met otherwise. Sorry, there's just a lot of little things running through my mind right now. I'm trying to get all of them. I think that's all. Alaska. I just heard Alaska. So with Alaska, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. If this was helpful, tell me how in the comments section. Give me topic ideas there as well. If you'd like to book a private reading with me, there are ways to do so in the description box. My friends, thank you for tuning in. We will see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Hello, group 3. So if you pick the sparkly little sparkle stone, it's citrine. Let's go ahead and look at the thing you don't want to do, but you have to do it anyway, and how are you going to get through it? Okay, so we have 2 of Cups. Okay, so here's something that's coming through, very specific, obviously, for some of you. maybe only just one of you, so let's just get it on out of the way. I feel that feeling of wedding vibes. And I am filming this in the spring if you're watching this during the time that I filmed it. And anywho, I'm getting that feeling of like maid of honor vibes, and you're like, I don't want to. Or maybe you're getting married and the person that has to be your maid of honor is like your B-wordy sister-in-law or something like that. That's coming through. It could just be like, you're going to be in a party of like, 18 different bridesmaids, and you all have to spend like, $300 on your dress and then another $300 on your hotel room, and she's going to be a complete nightmare, but you have to be there for her because of whatever, reason that it is that you have to be there for her. Whether it's family, friends, professional, personal. It does feel like that. It feels like I'm trying to get a sense if there's something you have to do for your significant other in romance. But I'm not feeling that. Thank God. So if you're like, I want to know how my significant other is feeling about me, that's not coming through right now at this moment. Hang on. Sorry. I was trying to drink my tea. It's kind of hot and I slurped it kind of loud. Yeah, this feels more like platonic friendship, sisters, if it's family, siblings, if it's not sisters, right? It could be brothers or whatever. But yeah, I'm not getting a romance vibe. So if it's something you didn't want to do with your significant other, you might have to put them in the place of that friendship. Sometimes I have to do that with readings because my spouse is also like my best friend. I know, gross. So he fulfills that role as well as the husband role, kind of thing. And so sometimes that, I guess, could come into play in that type of situation. I've never really tried that very hard, but I guess if I'm looking for something that has to do with less about our, romantic life and more about like other parts of your life that you have with your partner. At times it's a family type, situations, like they're the one that has to see you really sick, right? For example, those types of things. Okay. So maybe stick around if it's romance, but like, I think I'm just going to stick to the non-romantic talk unless more of the romance stuff starts to show up in some way, then we will discuss it. But for right now, it's kind of, I'm feeling like a platonic, wedding vibe, or like doing something for, maybe they have big, huge family parties in your, life, in your family. And, it's her big, huge milestone party and it's going to be all about her, kind of feeling, or all about him, however you're, looking at this. And you have to be there with your face on good, like with a good face on. And it's going to be trying at times is what's coming through. Like, and I'm not to say that you don't love this person. I feel like you're like, maybe this is your best friend in the whole wide world, but just there's certain areas in life where like being obligated to them in some way feels difficult for you. It's trying. It's not always easy. No relationship is, right? Okay. So that's what's coming through. If it's not a wedding, it's fine. It can be any type of big event. Graduation also just popped into my mind. Graduations of all sorts, not just like college graduation, but like, people graduate from academies, bureaus, right? I don't know. Medical thingamajigs. I don't know, guys. Help me out here. But it's feeling this very, lots of family around, lots of obligations. It's going to be like, not really about you. It's about this other person. And it's not like you're the type that's like, oh, it has to be all about me. I think maybe in a lot of cases, it's never about you. And now it's all about somebody else again. And you're just, it just gets old. And I get that. So how are we going to get through it? Because you're going to have to do it anyway, it looks like. Whenever people are like, oh, there's this wedding, I don't want to go. I'm like, don't go. I'm never going to go to a wedding for the rest of my life. Because most people aren't going to like have like a foodless, flowerless wedding, right? Or a perfumeless wedding. Same thing with funerals. There's no way I can go. Sorry, you know, like it's not like even something that I can be like, and I'm so glad. It's just like how it is. So when you're taking in the parts about them that are not fun, you can be like, well, at least I don't have to deal with that anymore. Okay, we have, you know, unless they have like a miracle cure, we have the Emperor here. For some of you, you're doing this to please a father figure of some kind. But at the same time, I also feel like for a lot of you, you know, we're getting into the how are you going to get through this section. This is kind of this indication to me that this person, fatherly figure in your life, it can be whatever that relationship works, however that works for you, that you are going to lean on that person to get you through it. For some of you, not to sound creepy or anything, for some of you that might be your significant other is going to go with you. And you're going to lean on them to get you through this. You're going to find a way to have fun with them. That this person is kind of, whoever this person is to you, they make any type of event fun, even, you know, funerals like we talked about. I know that sounds weird, but like anybody that's been to enough funerals will tell you that there are times where like you've been able to make some fun memories with some people in some positive way. Even though everybody's sad, right? You share like a good laugh, or you know, have a happy memory or whatever. You all go out afterwards and have like a big crazy, you know, drink fest night. I don't know. whatever you do to get through those trying times. So as far as that goes, there is this like fatherly figure, even if it's like a romantic partner. They still have that like steady Eddie, very compassionate, always knows the right thing to say, knows when to be quiet, and when to say something, right? And just kind of helps you get through anything. There is going to be somebody there that's going to help you through this event that you have to do for this other person. I'm getting this vibe of like somebody getting like a position you wanted at work and they asked you to like be the planner of their celebration. Oh, that would burn me up inside so hard. And of course you have to do it, right? And be gracious. And here's the thing. This is the part that would kill me the most. If it's a situation like that for you, maybe you'll relate to what I'm about to say. When you're in that situation, like maybe you don't care. You're like, I'm fine. I'm happy they won. But why do you have to put me in this situation where there's going to be people that are looking at me like, oh my God, this must be killing her inside. Yikes. I totally get it. That would be the part that would bother me the most, is like, there's going to be somebody out there that misunderstands like how this is for me. And I don't want to be that person in that little movie in their head. I totally get it. You know, or like somebody's getting an award that you didn't know you deserve, you know, and like somebody's like, oh, will you present it, you know, and do the speech for them? That just came in with like this card here real quick there, this professional celebration. Yeah, this professional celebration situation. Because, yeah, like you might be going to something afterwards where there's toasts for them, right? And like, while you maybe love this person very much, you know, sometimes if somebody's doing toast to them or whatever, they just like kind of make you like want to vomit a little bit. Like, I'm having the best time ever. I love my friends. You know, it's a good times. Their posts kind of make you sick maybe for some of you. You might have to position yourself in ways that you're like, man, I know how this is going to look on her page, right? What else is coming through? Interesting. And like it's a vast array. Like if I'm not hitting your exact like numbers of whatever complexities are between you and this person, like I hope it's coming through from your guides that this could be like a vast array of different things, different situations, different celebrations, different reasons for celebrations, weddings, graduations, showers, promotions, etc. And even though I feel like you're totally a gracious person, there's just that part that comes through just a little bit like, oh, yay for you, you know? It's a very honest group 3, and happy to provide you a place to be able to go and kind of groan in unison with you of like, oh, why, I don't know. There's these people I know that like post a lot of selfies that have captions of them and this other person, and I always wonder, like, did that other person consent to the caption? Or are they cringing as hard as I am right now? Does that make sense? Because we all have, like, I feel like you can safely say that we all probably have like at least one person in our life or two that when they post something we cringe, right? Even just because their style's a little different than ours of how we, the things we would ever put on social media, that kind of deal. So I do feel that coming through for some as well. And that would be rough. Like, I don't really have that in my life. That'd be crazy to have to deal with. Okay. It's almost like everybody being famous. Like, please, no pictures. I don't want you to film this. Okay. 10 of Swords. Feeling stuck. Yeah, I feel that energy coming from you guys. It's like, I have to do it. There's no getting around the parts that are going to suck. Well, your friendly male energy is there. Whoever this person is, even if it's not a male. There's somebody there that's going to help you. Somebody that can always sort of grin and bear anything. And you're going to kind of latch onto a person like that. They seem like they might be older than you. If they're not older than you, they're wise beyond their years. Like they just, that they've never even sat and thought about this type of thing. Like even thinking like, that's what it's going to look like to some other people, even though I know that's not how it is. That would never even enter into their mind. And that kind of wows you about them. Wows me about them too. Tell them to teach me that trick. Because I'm in the camp with y'all. I've totally been in those situations where it's like I'm fine with being happy for them, but why do I have to be the one that gets to be put in the spotlight so much that people are going to be analyzing me a little bit too, right? That's kind of what's coming in. Yeah. Even down to like how you are at the party. How you are emotionally. I think this person, for a lot of you, also holds your emotions accountable for them to have a good time. They might be like, why aren't you having more fun? I'm feeling that coming through for some of you. Lots of high pressure. Lots of high pressure. I haven't been in a situation like that in years. I refuse to let myself get put in those situations anymore because after you go through it 6 or 7 times, you're like, never again. I don't care. I don't care if it ruins a friendship and like you've watched it ruin friendships and you're like, I don't care, like it's a peaceful place. But if you're not there yet, you're not there yet. And so you go through these obligatory things, right? I get it. And there are some things where it's like, I can't, the relationship itself is that important to me that I have to go through this. I can relate. I won't do it anymore, but I totally understand somebody doing that for the rest of their life. It depends on what that person means to you. I get it, I totally get it. And people go through, people make different choices in that way of like, who's worth the pain, right? Who's worth your pain to go through those like painful times of like, oof, even if it's just cringe times. Yeah, we have the Queen of Pentacles. You're very giving to this person. And like, I feel like this card is solidifying your dedication of being like that person for them forever, if need be, that kind of energy. And that's nice for them. I hope they realize how lucky they are and treat you accordingly. And like, maybe they do, and let me know in the comments, be like, yeah, they earn it, They know it's going to be a pain for me. It could even be something as simple as like, you love that person, you love doing anything for them, but, you would rather die than make a speech in front of everybody and as the maid of honor or best man, whatever they call him. I haven't been to a wedding in a very long time. That you have to make a speech for them and you're like, I'm doing it for you, bro or doe, but I don't want to, right? Those are also coming through. Maybe you have to be around, you love being around them, but you hate being around their family, or like you hate being around that new group of friends that they got since they got that new job or since they moved to that new place, etc. and so forth. Mm-hmm. I feel that pain as well. But I feel like you're going to have fun regardless. Like, I feel like, deep down, you're like, it's not that bad. But yeah, there is that, like, if I had it to be my decision without any emotional, social repercussions of any sort, yes, I would just prefer not to do it, but I have to, right? I see you putting a good face on. I don't think anybody's going to judge you the wrong way. Like, if you're worried about people doing that whole, oh, she's probably just burning up inside or whatever, they're actually not going to think that of you. You're going to handle yourself well. And I think it's because genuinely you're not thinking those like petty type thoughts, that you actually are genuinely happy for your friend. It could even be that whole like, oh, you're the one that's single still, or all that weird stuff, pressure that people put on us. Okay. The Tower. Okay. I'm going to reserve a few things flashed through my mind when I saw that. They were very different from each other. The Fool. The Eight of Swords. Don't freak out about the Tower. The Ace of Cups. I keep hearing a rooster out there crowing. So many people have started raising their own chickens over the last couple of years. And I live in, a rural-ish area. So people, even though we live in town per se, we don't have stoplights and stuff like that. So even if you have neighbors right next to you, you're still kind of outside in the middle of nowhere. And so people get chickens. And I keep hearing this rooster crowing and I keep thinking it's somebody screaming in pain. I'm like, my God, what's happening? And then I realize, okay, I'm the Empress. Okay. So the reason I said don't worry about the Tower, things always have something that goes a little bit haywire at events like these where there's big celebrations. And I feel like some of you are going to some pretty big weddings and some pretty big graduations. And if not big in the scope of how many people are attending the event, big in the scope of how many people in your life are attending it. In a lot of cases, big family gathering, lots of extended family around, old friends coming into the picture, some little unofficial reunions also getting thrown into the mix. Okay. All that adds to stress levels, and I get that 100%. I'm seeing that, there's going to be some things that go haywire. Your guides are saying that you're actually going to shine through that because it's not going to be anything that actually affects you. It's going to be more like she opens the dress and she's like, oh my gosh, I was supposed to be white and instead it's vanilla. Oh my gosh. And she just has a meltdown in front of you. Hang on. Okay, where were we? So it was this, so some sort of little fiasco is going to happen that's not going to affect you personally. So if somebody drops the wedding cake or something, and it's not like you're like, yes, I hope everything goes wrong for you. But it's just one of those things that can't be helped. And there's nothing you can do about it anyway. So you're just kind of going to roll with it and find reasons to kind of, if only to yourself, just kind of laugh it off and chuckle about, that her dress ended up being white and not vanilla, and that you had the little chuckle of nobody else is going to notice that except you, that kind of thing. If the cake falls, that's a little bit bigger of an issue, probably. Probably not at the weddings I've been in or two, but maybe at other ones. I've always been to low-key weddings. I haven't been to very, I would love to go to a big fancy wedding that has a full bar and no one even knows you. You just show up just to see what that's like. I probably wouldn't like to go, and I couldn't now, but good times. That is something that I've always liked to have seen as one of those really crazy big scale weddings where it's each family's chucked in tens of thousands of dollars to make it huge. I know those exist. It would be cool to see one. Anyway, some type of little fiasco happens and you're able to chuckle it off because it really has no bearing on you. You had no bearing on it, so it's not like anybody can blame you for it. And it just gives you this little reminder to not take things so seriously, even if everybody around you is also taking it like way too seriously, right? Surely they will if it's all about them, you know? And so you're kind of able to take a step back and be like, well, it's not all about me for sure, but at least I didn't have to deal with that happening, to me during whatever my things might be, right? It's just a little comfort bump, a little comfort boost of humor that's going to get to come in for you. The way that you handle it also is going to help raise the spirits of those around you. I don't see you like rubbing in like, haha, get over it. Like you're actually going to graciously remind everyone that it's a time for celebration and that, these little snafus that happen are usually a sign of good luck, that it's going to be a happy day for everyone, that, nothing too catastrophic is going to happen to the point where nothing's going to happen to make these two not get married, right? We're just going to roll with the punches and see where we end up. You're going to shine in that moment. People are going to feel more love and gratitude about what does go well because of the way that you behave. So that's also very positive. Let's get some more cards for you about how wonderful you are, because I'm getting wonderful vibes. Yeah, you're going to be like the port in the storm, the person that, it doesn't add to the chaos, but actually makes it better by just being calm and not taking things too seriously. There are going to be some backstabby people there that have their own agendas. And so your guides are saying, just, remember that it's not your responsibility to help people deal with whatever emotions they're throwing around, right? That it's not all on you. And I feel like it's going to be such a busy affair that people are going to more see the good things that you're doing as opposed to like looking at you as the person like, oh, you're the one we're going to say, hey, you fix it, right? I've been to weddings like that before where, simultaneously all of a sudden I became the failed wedding coordinator, even though that was not my role. I was just a guest at that wedding. But people are like, those two idiots up there, tell us what we're supposed to do. It's like, why are you coming to me and asking me to do it out of all the other people here? And it was just, victim of circumstance, I suppose. But, I know that if I've been through it, somebody else out there probably has too. Yeah, 9 of Cups, it's going to end up being like, kind of, I know it's not something you want to do. And if your true wish was to come true, you wouldn't have to do this at all. But since you have to do it, your guides are trying to show you that, at the end of it, some of you are going to feel glad that you did go, right? That it turns out as well as it possibly could have, given the circumstances, that yes, you're going to come out unscathed in a lot of ways, in all the most important ways. Yes, see, and the sun, it's all going to be okay. Whenever I see the sun, I'm like, time to wrap it up. I'm sure we have all the good news we can stand. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful time and just focus in on the positive parts. I feel like that tower moment that you see them going through is just the boost that you need to be like, okay, see, I can be gracious now. I just feel like that's something that ups your grace level, is when people struggle a little bit, then you know exactly how to hop in and help them feel like they're supported and help them feel like they don't even have to like dwell on like the thing that didn't work out as well. Yeah, I think you have a knack for that. So with that, I shall close. If this was helpful, tell me how in the comment section. Give me topic ideas there as well. If you would like to book a private reading with me, there are ways to do so in the description box, my friends. Thank you for being here so much. We will see you next time. Bye. Hello, group 4. So if you picked the purple amethyst heart, let's get a look at what you don't want to do. So we have 5 of Wands. So the first thing that comes to my mind with 5 of Wands whenever I see it in a reading is family or coworker bickering. Usually of the petty sort. Okay, it could be very important to the people bickering, but like the actual stuff is usually a petty like reason or a petty whatever you want to call it. A lot of times it can be like money related kind of pettiness. So I'm feeling like family bereavement of some kind, like maybe somebody older, like a parent or a grandparent passed away, and there's been bickering over the estate, or bickering, maybe a family member is very ill, an older family member, and people are bickering over the type of care and who's going to be there and what's going to be done, etc. and so forth. It's like, it doesn't just feel like petty squabbling. Like, it could be like big life change things for some of you. For others, it does feel like, petty office squabbling, possibly petty squabbling over something that could have very large ramifications over others, like, changing the whole way that people fill out forms or something. You know what I mean? Like a whole new way of busting in on people's private lives, or, that kind of like professional disquiet where people kind of have a say and nobody can agree. And what sucks for you is that whenever this card comes up, I always take it as messages. Try to stay out of it as much as you can. And like, this is something you have to do, that you can't get out of. And so, you need the advice on how to get through it, right? And so I totally get that. And I know there's always those types of situations where you can't always, you might be part of the entire decision-making process. You might be a part of that in some huge way, that you can't just stay out of it. You have to give some kind of an opinion or a ruling of some sort. There might be some kind of extra responsibility that you have that makes it to where you can't just leave the room while they're all squabbling. So like, you could be like the boss of some kind of policy change at work that you have to let the other people know, and like, they're not gonna like it, and you're gonna be like, they're gonna be mad at me, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't even voice that I'm not cool with it without getting in trouble. And so you just have to like sit there with your hat in your hands and just report out what the new situation is, and everybody's like, rabble, 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 and you're like, oh, don't kill me. That kind of feeling is also coming through. So definitely some family stuff, definitely some work stuff coming through. Okay, this is an interesting development in this one as well. There's somebody getting married, and the two families are coming together, and they're squabbling about that. Who's handling this? Who's handling that? I don't see the squabbling happening so much with the bride and groom as far as the people who are involved that are watching this. But it's sort of like maybe the parents are very invested, and you're like one of the siblings that has to be involved. Maybe you're, in the wedding party somehow, and you have to give a speech or something along those lines. There's been a lot of wedding vibes. And I think a lot of it is just because I'm doing this in the springtime, right? Like when I'm filming this. And a lot of people have their little weddings in the spring. So anyway, but yeah, like family squabbling over like who's sitting where and what's going to happen and when are we doing this and when do we cut the cake and when do we, that whole thing is also coming through. So a very involved wedding, like not your wedding, but you're like in the mix with the people who are going to be squabbling about it. Yes. Is it their wedding? So I guess if it is your wedding, you're just not involved in the planning and your family's taking care of it. And like, this is what they're doing while you're busy doing stuff with your tux or your dress. In that situation, now my advice is always like, put your head down and get married, and like whatever happens out there, you can sort through that later. I just hope nothing happens to the point where you have to call the police. I don't think it's going to come to that. I just like to think in extremes. Okay, let's get you some more. How did they get through this? So we have 3 storylines. We have a professional situation where there's bickering around you that you can't get out of, and then family. Can I mix the family with the wedding people together and you guys can just sort yourselves out? That might make it quicker, make me less rambly. Okay, we have the 4 of Swords. We have the 5 of Swords. Oh, goodness. And then these 3 are calling to me. So this one, I guess, but this one's going last. Okay. So one of the things that your guides are telling me with this is that the message of staying out of it is still as relevant as it can be. Meaning that, like, yes, you're still going to be in the situation, but if you can be like the one that doesn't give in to the bickering or just like refuse to bicker, be like, I'm not arguing with you about this, and then actually not argue with them about it, right? That kind of energy. And I know that's like being the bigger person. You're probably sick of having to do that. I feel like a lot of you are. But that is your guide's best advice on one of the ways to help you move forward. Get as much rest as you can. Part of the thing is like remembering this isn't your wedding, right? This isn't your company, right? Even if it's the company you've been working for lots of years. This isn't, it's not your building or whatever. This isn't your responsibility in some cases, and like being able to distinguish between what is your responsibility and what is not, when to say no and be selfish, when to withhold speaking. Those types of energies are coming through. Your guys are saying it's okay to lean into that. I think people have a tendency to try to make you feel like you're emotionally responsible for them. And it's not so much because you have done that for others, but like in this situation, but like maybe you have in your past, like with your own personal parents or family, if it's a work thing, or your workplace with your family, vice versa, all those different, situations that apply. But just because you have that necessarily feel when somebody is holding everybody emotionally, they're just putting a beacon out there. Somebody's emotionally responsible for this besides me. And they start looking, right? And because somebody told you or made you believe that you were, or you pick up on emotions sooner or something along those lines, people tend to latch onto you very quickly, even if they don't know you very well, and hold you emotionally responsible for the situation because you just happened to be there when their gaze swooped by. Whew. That was hard to explain. I hope it made sense. So like I'm saying, it's not because you put out any type of vibe that makes it's just the combo of you seeing that and then blindly looking for it anywhere they can get it, and you recognize what they're looking for. That's what does it, if that makes sense. And so your guides are saying to not speak, if they're like, well, what do you think? What do you, and I mean, it's okay to like shrug your shoulders and look around like you're confused and say, well, I have no responsibility over this, so I don't know why you're looking at me for an answer. I'm just as confused as you are, if not more at this point. It's okay to do that. It's okay to not say anything at all if they like come at you emotionally. And if they're like, why aren't you answering me? Then answer with another question. Like, I'm very confused about why you're so upset. That's what I'm reacting to right now. Why are you so upset? And just kind of remind them where they are, right? That's coming in as well. I'm sorry for those of you having to deal with all that. That's a lot. We have the Queen of Wands here. Yeah, the Queen of Wands is not going to keep her mouth shut if somebody, is just going to keep, she's not going to turn the other cheek if somebody slaps her, that kind of thing. But she also knows when to take action and when not to take action. We also have the Justice card. Justice will be served. You will be okay. Things will balance out. Nothing too catastrophic is going to happen in like what you would consider catastrophic. Are catastrophic things going to happen to all these people? Are some of them going to internalize it and make something that happens about them, or make something minor thing that went wrong about them? Yes, that's very possible. But I don't see you after this feeling like the S totally hit the fan for you. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Yes, I see you actually interacting well with others, keeping a good face. Okay. I also see the right thing happening with the Justice card, things staying balanced for you and the right thing happening for you. It's like nothing untoward is going to happen to you during this time. You have protection. Yes, with the Four of Pentacles. It's also okay to shield yourself in any way that you possibly can to avoid any icky situations. Like, it feels like the main thing is to like avoid any type of interaction with the squabbly ones as much as you possibly can. Like only interacting with them if you absolutely have to, only taking care of exactly what is your responsibility and nothing else, and standing by that, no matter how squawky somebody gets at you. Sometimes people can really try to push their responsibilities off on you. A situation popped into my head where I was doing a charity event. I was just helping out, as a volunteer, wearing, everything but the little volunteer t-shirt, right? And so you just show up and they give you a task to complete based on what they think you can do and what you're able to do. And because it was a smaller community event, I would always tell students about it if they needed to get community service, or if they needed to get some kind of charitable works hours that they could write down for a resume or for their senior project or whatever. And because I had told them about it, and because I happened to be a teacher too, a lot of people would just automatically assume I was in charge of all of those kids. And it was like, no, the school isn't involved in this. I'm just another community member out here volunteering. So I have no say over what they're doing right now. And none of them were being bad. It was just a matter of are you the one that's going to yell at them if they don't do exactly what we want them to do? And it's like, no, I don't know exactly what you want me to do. I feel that kind of vibe. And if I had been like, oh gosh, okay, you guys, you better do it this way. What do you want me to do again? Then they would have done that to me every year, right? Did people get upset with me? Yes. Did they probably tell people, oh, she's a bad teacher and didn't like to handle that responsibility? Probably, that could have been what they took away from that experience, right? I'm feeling vibes like that. So just knowing what your responsibilities are and standing by that no matter how squawky somebody gets. That's the message that's coming through. The sun, I don't think it'll come to anything as bad as that, even though with the sun showing up. Yes, that you're going to communicate yourself well. It's going to help you see things in a different perspective. I see you looking at things in a more positive perspective, as finding a way to look at it so that the positive part comes out. So part of what I liked about my little volunteer thing was I was able to network with some kids outside of school events, and that gave me more of an in with them at school events. So there would be, somebody who would be more likely to mind me in class because they saw me being cool while I wasn't in charge of them, right? So, it worked out for me. That was what worked out for me in the case of if I would have been like, oh, I better please those guys by yelling at these kids, then the kids would have hated me at work too. And it wasn't anything I was doing other than just to be charitable. So I had to pick my battle. You see what I'm saying? Okay, we have 6 of Wands. Yeah, you're going to come out looking good. As long as you just keep on looking at things the way that you're currently looking at them, yeah, this is going to come to pass. And you're going to actually come through it looking wonderful. And yeah, you're going to have the right judgment calls during this time is what your guides are promising. So that's what's going to help you get through it, is you just kind of focusing in on what things make it a positive situation. What things about it are positive? Is there somebody there that you like? Is there a new friend you can make? Is there somebody there who's more miserable than you and you can help them through it? Those are all the types of things that are coming in as examples, but you get the idea. I hope this was helpful. If it was, tell me how in the comment section. Give me topic ideas there as well. If you'd like to book a private reading with me, there are ways to do so in the description box. We'll see you next time, my friends. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. We'll see you next time. Bye.